Hello. I think it is about time to make a second attempt at doing a 24 in 48 hour vlog. So that is where I try to read for 24 hours over the course of 48 hours. The last time I tried, I got to, I think, around 16 and a half hours by the end of the 48 hours. So it didn't go as well. But I'm going to make some changes this time to try and see if I can do better. So there's a couple big changes I'm going to make this time. One is that I have an audiobook to listen to. So when I have to do things like today, I have some work I have to do outside and I have some financial stuff I got to get done and everything. I can have the audiobook on and count that as reading time. So I'm going to do that. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one or two other small physical books that I can read. Instead of last time I had a bunch of books and then I just used a spinner wheel and just kept reading different ones. So we're going to give that a try. Hi, Yoongi. What are you doing? What do you got in your mouth? Why do you always have stuff in your mouth? Every time I see you, you've got like something in your mouth. Yes, anyway. So, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think we're going to be successful? You think we'll be successful doing reading for 24 hours in 48 hours? Oh, you can't read? Okay, well, you can't help me then. I'll do the reading on my own. You can just play around and be a goof, like you always are. Okay, so my plan is the audiobook that I am going to be listening to is Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Now, I have been wanting to read this book for a long time. It's so popular on BookTube. And Mr. Get out of the way. Ugh. Kittens these days. Kittens. Okay, go bug your brother. I've been wanting to read Dungeon Crawler Carl for a long time, ever since I first heard about it here on BookTube. And I've heard that the audiobook is really good. So that's the audiobook I'm going to listen to. And that one, you're essentially following Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut. Aliens come down. Anybody who's inside a building gets crushed and destroyed. Anybody who is left over is herded into these dungeons underneath the ground, where they are then forced to compete in an intergalactic game show, essentially. It's lit RPG, I believe, so it's kind of like reading a video game sort of thing. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the two shorter books that I'm going to attempt to read this over the 24 hours here, I'm going to attempt to read The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, this is one that I have for my TBR game. It's a Sherlock Holmes mystery, and I've never read any Sherlock Holmes mysteries before, so this should be good, but it is a novella. So that'll be a shorter one. And then I'm going to also try to read Toward Eternity by Anton Hur. This is a sci-fi novel. It's set in the near future. You have a new therapy that's supposed to eradicate cancer by replacing the body cells with nanites, android cells that not only cure those afflicted, but also render patients virtually immortal. When a literary researcher, Young Hun, finds himself a recipient of nanotherapy, teaches an AI named Panit how to understand poetry, he creates a living, thinking machine. And then it goes on from there. And it's kind of exploring humanity, what makes us human, how technology can advance things and also destroy things. And looks like it'd be a super interesting one. I've read his translated books. Hi, Milkers. I've read books that he translated before, but this is his first novel, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the audiobook and do some of my outdoors work, and then I will let you guys know once I get a little bit into my 24 hours of reading. I'm doing it from today at noon. This is Wednesday, I believe. Yes, Wednesday. Wednesday at noon to Friday at noon. Wednesday at noon to Friday at noon is kind of where I'm going with this one. So I will let you guys know how that goes and keep you updated as the experiment continues. Hello everyone, hopefully it's not too windy. I'm just out here feeding ponies and doing the watering. So I thought I would update you on how my reading's been going. So yesterday from noon until, well, now, because I just got up to get going, I read about 5.5 hours, maybe 5 hours and 45. So I have quite a lot to do in the next 24 hours. But it's going quite well. Hi, Pumpkin. What you doing, Punks? So I got about, let's see now. I got about 29%, I think, into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Really enjoying that one so far. So, like I said before, you're following Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut. And they end up, Carl goes running outside because Donut jumps out the window, and Donut's like this prize Persian cat. And so Donut jumps out the window, so Carl goes and runs outside in his boxers and a leather jacket and his ex-girlfriend's 2 tiny Crocs and into the snow to grab Princess Donut. Well, as he's standing there trying to get her to come to him, everything collapses. All the buildings, everything just, whoom, they're gone. And everybody who was indoors anyway is dead. And then he hears this voice that tells him that he has a certain amount of time to get to this underground dungeon. And that's, if he doesn't, then he's going to end up having to just fend for himself with nothing. So, of course, because it's winter and he's cold and he's not dressed for it and everything, he and Donut go and find the entrance to the dungeon. So then they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And it turns out it's this intergalactic game show, and Earth has been taken over by these aliens. And the only way to survive is to get down to level 18 in the dungeon. And it's a very, it's lit RPG, so it's like a video game. He's got stats and all this kind of stuff that's really fun. And I find Donut highly entertaining. It's not really a secret that she learns to, or gains sentience and becomes a character. So she's a very entertaining character. And so they're teaming up in this dungeon. So that's been really fun so far. I'm really enjoying it, really enjoying the writing. It's very humorous, and the audiobook is really good. So really enjoying that. And then last night I started The Hound of the Baskervilles, and I got to, let's see, where did I get to in that one? I got to about 55%, I think, or 56%, something along those lines, in The Hound of the Baskervilles. And I'm actually enjoying that one more than I thought I would. I'd never read Sherlock Holmes before. But in this one, you have Sherlock and Watson are sitting at home, and this guy shows up. He's a doctor from the North Country, and he shows up and he tells them this story about this family called the Baskervilles, who there's a legend from generations before that the Baskerville, who was alive then, was so evil that he got killed by this hound of hell. And then there's this hound that follows the family, and people die in mysterious ways. And he was friends to Charles Baskerville, the most recent guy, who had just moved back to the manor, the Baskerville Manor, and he was terrified of this beast, and then he died under mysterious circumstances. So, and then his nephew is the only Baskerville left, and he's come back from America to take over the manor. And this doctor is meeting with him to bring him out there, but he is worried that something's going to happen to him too. So he basically kind of hires Sherlock to come and figure out what's going on. But so he sends Watson up with this Henry Baskerville, and Watson is discovering interesting things about the community and all that kind of stuff. So it's been really interesting so far. I'm actually enjoying the writing. The descriptions are really good. They're quite gothic and like I enjoy the descriptions of the moors, and he just I am enjoying Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's writing style so far. So we'll see how this goes, because I might have to read more Sherlock Holmes. The book that I got actually has A Study in Scarlet in it as well, so I might try and read that later. But yeah, so my goals today are to I'm going to finish watering the horses, and then I'm going to go in and have something to eat. And then I have to do a little bit more financial stuff, so I'll listen to the audiobook while I do that. I might come out here and do some pony brushing. Their manes need a lot of work, but we'll see, because it's kind of a chilly day. We'll see if it rains too, because it looks like it might rain. But otherwise, I might come out here and listen to my audiobook while I do some of that. And but basically, I'm just going to spend a lot of time reading, and we'll see how much I can get done in the next 24 hours. So I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. Okay, guys, time for a little update. I am at 9 hours and 25 minutes. And it is, well, not whatever time it says on there because that's wrong. It's like 9:30 on Thursday evening. So I have just over 12 hours left in my reading. So we'll see how far I get. I do tend to read late into the night, so we'll see what's happening. But in The Hound of the Baskervilles, I have gotten to 60%. So my goal right now is to finish reading that one here in the next hour or so. I don't have too terribly much left, but just over 50 pages, I think. And in Dungeon Crawler Carl, I have gotten to 53% now in the audiobook. So we'll see how much more of that I get done. Once I finish Hound of the Baskervilles, if I feel like reading manually, I'll very likely start into the Anton Hur book. I'm forgetting what that one's called. Anyways, the one I mentioned at the beginning anyway. And I'll read that one some tonight probably. And we'll see how it goes. Being at 9.5 hours, I would have to read another 14 hours before noon tomorrow in order to hit the goal, and that's not going to happen again. I'm hoping that I can at least get to maybe 14 hours. I don't know. I haven't figured out the secret yet to doing the 24 and 48 challenge because, I mean, I do always have other things that I have to do, but I mean, today I was listening to an audiobook while I did a lot of them. So it's kind of, I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Someday I will figure out the secret to doing this challenge. But anyways, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep reading. We'll see how far I can get, and I will update you guys once I've read a little bit more. Someone has decided that I've read enough for one day. Mr. Youngie, how am I supposed to read? Huh? How am I supposed to read? You're on my book. I can't turn pages or anything. You my bookmark? Well, it is now after 3 a.m. and I'm giving up because now I'll end up sleeping till probably noon tomorrow anyway, because I won't fall asleep till at least 4. And I made 13 hours. Why do I keep doing that? I made 13 hours and 8 minutes, which was less than last time. Last time, I believe when I looked here recently, it was like 14 hours. But at some point, I'll figure out how to do the 24 and 48 challenge. It just doesn't seem to work real well for me. I think part of the problem is because I always have so many other things that I have to do as well. I don't really have a time when I can just focus entirely on reading. I always have to do all the different chores and things with the animals and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I will let you guys know that I finished The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I was pleasantly surprised by this one. I found the mystery really interesting, and I liked the voice that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote with. I like how he made Watson's voice, and I didn't find Holmes as annoying as I thought I was going to. I had this feeling that I was going to find him kind of annoying, but he was actually a very interesting character as well, and I just genuinely appreciated the whole story. I thought it was very well written. This was just a kind of a cool sentence that I liked. I thought I'd share with you. So it's talking to Dr. James Mortimer, who is the friend of the Baskervilles. Holmes says that he's a man of a precise mind. And Mortimer replies, "A dabbler in science, Mr. Holmes, a picker-up of shells on the shores of the great unknown ocean." That just to me is a really cool line. So I ended up giving that one, I think I'm going to give it 4 stars because it was definitely entertaining and enjoyable. And I didn't have any real beefs with it. It wasn't what I would call a 5-star read, but it was definitely, I'm going to give it 4 stars, I think. And then tonight, I did get actually a really good start on Toward Eternity by Anton Hur. This is the one that I was saying is about AI and kind of a look at, what makes us human. I'm finding it interesting so far. I've gotten, how far? I've gotten to, where's my mark? To page 90, or no, page 80. I've gotten to page 80 so far, and it's only a 200 and something page book, so it's not super long. And I'm finding it interesting, but I'm also finding that I'm not really understanding yet what the story is about, like what the actual plot is. You've got the first section here is being told from different people who are writing in this journal. So you've got this doctor who pioneered this nanotechnology to eradicate cancer kind of thing. And then you have this man named, what's his name? Gosh, why can't I open this book? It's such a beautiful book, though. Like, look at that cover, the inner papers. Yes, you have a guy named Yong Hun, who he vanishes into thin air and then suddenly reappears, but he doesn't. He has the memories of Yong Hun, but he doesn't think that he is Yong Hun. He's got, like, the memories are coming back to him, but he doesn't think that he's actually Yong Hun. And then Yong Hun disappears again by the time it's later in the story. And then you've got Ellen, who was this, Yong Hun was the second person to try the nanotechnology, and then Ellen was the third person. And you hear a bit from her story, and she's going through some weird things as well that she thinks are due to her. Due to the transition to nanotechnology. One of the things that Yong Hun was working on when he was, before he had the issues with cancer and everything, was he was a poetry, he had a doctorate in poetry, and he created this artificial intelligence computer that could understand poetry and learn from poetry. And its name was Panet. And it was kind of like this forgotten bit of technology kind of kept back in a corner. But now the doctor, she's going to be shutting down her institute, and she decides to put Panet's AI brain and everything into a nanotechnology body. So essentially giving Panet a body and humanity. So that's kind of where we're at now, and it's kind of looking like that's going to be quite interesting. It's, again, like I say, it's a little bit hard to follow right now for me for the plot. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with that, but the writing is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful writing. Like, if this wasn't a library book, I would be marking a whole bunch of things in it. I did want to read a couple of lines that I just thought were like some of the most beautiful writing that I've ever read. It's in Ellen's chapter, and Ellen was a concert cellist. After her nanotechnology transition, she went back to music again. So she's a cellist. And this part here where she was talking about music, I thought this was so gorgeous. Music is as eternal as the universe. It is part of its very fabric, and a musician is only picking at a small corner of the universe, a tiny dot in it, when they turn air and time into sound. A musician's task is not to create sound from nothingness. A true musician understands that music is the primordial state of the universe, the very first world, and silence is a cloak imposed upon this state, and a musician's job is to create a tear in that cloak to let out the music underneath. We do not create music, we draw it out from underneath the silence. I draw it out from my cello, my tear in the cloak. Like, is that not the most beautiful description of music you have ever read in your life? Like, I just find that so beautiful. And then there was one other line in her part where she's talking about music still. And it was this that I just thought was beautiful too. Sheet music is not real music. What truly determines music is the soul of the musician meeting the soul of the composer. Like, such beautiful writing. Like, I definitely think that this one would be worth reading a few times just to get all of that stuff, because I think it's a little bit, I'm not a big sci-fi reader, so understanding all the stuff about AI, and he uses quite a lot of technical terms and things, it's going a little bit over my head. I tend to understand mechanical things a lot better, having been a mechanical engineer. But I think that the general, like, the writing itself is just so beautiful. So anyways, that's how far I got in that one. And then in Dungeon Crawler Carl, I still was at that 53% because I didn't listen to any more tonight. I was doing physical reading. So that's kind of where I got. I will come back again tomorrow after I wake up and everything, and see if I wake up in time to do any more reading. And otherwise, we'll be calling it at 13 hours, just over 13 hours. And someday I will figure out how to do 24 hours in 48. But somehow I managed, with all the changes I made, because like I was going to, okay, well, listen to an audiobook, so that'll let me listen while I'm doing other things, which I did. I listened to like half of the audiobook, which was like 7 hours or something of it. And then I was like, and I'll pick like a couple small books and just focus on one at a time kind of thing. And I figured that would solve my problem, because I wasn't jumping from book to book to book like last time, but I ended up reading less than I did last time. So anyways, yeah, we'll see. I will try this challenge again sometime in the future when I figure out what else to try in order to successfully do it. But I will check in with you guys later when I wake up in the morning and see how much more reading I get done. Well, my friends, alas, I did not get any further reading done. I ended up sleeping from about 4:30 a.m. till noon. So somehow in this challenge, I managed to do 13 hours and 8 minutes, which is less than last time. Last time I think I made it to 14 and a half. I have not figured out how to do this challenge yet. But I will say I did finish The Hound of the Baskervilles, like I mentioned last night. Got that done and enjoyed it. And Toward Eternity, I'm really enjoying that one so far. Like I mentioned, the writing is really, really well done. And I'm still at 53% on Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I'm going to continue reading those ones over the next few days and finish them off before the end of the month. You'll hear about them in my month end. And yeah, that's the way she goes. So down in the comments, let me know if you have any recommendations for ideas that I can do to help me actually hit 24 hours in 48 hours. It's essentially, I would have to read for 12 hours a day, and that's a little bit difficult when I also have the sanctuary to look after and all those sorts of things. But I know people do it online. So if you have any tips for me, let me know. And I probably won't try it again till sometime next year, maybe in the winter time when there's not much else to do. And yeah, I will see you guys soon on another video. Make sure you give me a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. And I have some real fun ones coming up soon here. So I hope you will hit the notification button and stay tuned. I will see you guys later. Bye.